The children are making massive growth, and children that are on identified plans and who you sometimes wouldn't necessarily expect to achieve great reading goals, they actually are making a huge amount of progress. We've had a student who we didn't know whether would pass the phonics screener, and she passed with flying colours, and it's just such a delight, and now we're seeing her apply that to her reading as well.
First of all, I think at Barmera Primary School it's really important that our students feel supported in their learning and safe in their learning, but also we want students to progress in their learning, and reading is an area which children need in their everyday lives, and so we want our students to be articulate, to understand their reading goals, to move forward in their learning.
So our students, I think, were achieving, but we didn't really have students in those higher bands, and as a reception and sort of junior primary level we were going okay, but then they were reaching the year 5 sort of slump where no longer they could rely on their visual memory, and they were starting to sort of fall apart. They couldn't decode, and so they were coming across these words that they didn't know how to read, but they were also finding that they were trying to comprehend text as well. So that was a big challenge, and we found our NAPLAN scores were dropping. So as a partnership, the schools were looking at having some evidence-based programs, and they looked at the guidebooks to actually confirm what evidence-based programs were. And we were already using InitiaLit, and so our growth impact coach was looking at InitiaLit and noticed that the InitiaLit program was coming out, so we kept an eye out for it and started doing the training. InitiaLit is a whole class program, so it works at building steps basically. So it is a 3-year program, although at Barmera Primary School we look at where the students are at. So we do a screener at the start of the year and we work out what the students know and what they still need to learn. It really leaves nothing to chance. So it covers reading, writing, spelling, it looks at sounds. So we're actually making sort of sounding out and letter blending their default. So they're not having to rely on their memory to actually work out how to read, they're looking at the skills and decoding.
I would say the staff at Barmera Primary School are very committed. They, at the start of this journey when we started talking about InitiaLit and reciprocal teaching from the evidence-based guidebooks which give us the practices, we perhaps, to be honest, didn't know much about those certain areas of learning, and so I, as a site leader, and my leaders were almost learning with the staff and made that a priority to do that. And it was important that we were all on the same page when we were moving forward. We certainly have been on this journey together and we are all learning as we go, but the work that's happened around the results that we're getting are just outstanding. So a huge commitment to some new work, but because it's evidence-based practice, it's worked beautifully, and that builds trust and commitment in our staff because we are now seeing gains and wins in our student learning.
Children just love it. They really love analysing the language, and as soon as we come across a new sound, they're suddenly so excited, and a new rule, sort of spelling rule, and you can see the connections that they make with words that they may have read before, and they're like, oh, so that's why it happens, and that's why we need to spell those words. They then come to year 1 and they're actually looking at the reasons why sounds go in particular ways. For example, today we're going to learn about the j sound, the D, G, E, and then we're looking at where it actually goes in words, why you use it at the end, how the J letter tends not to go at the end, and we talk about phonemes, which are the sounds, and graphemes, which are the letters that they use to make. We then lead into sentences structure as well, and from there in the Year 2 program there's more content on the reading, so they're looking at the reading strategies. So you tend to look at word attack as well as leading through to the comprehension side of things. And I think we noticed particularly in the phonics results that those sounds that we hadn't covered, those were the ones where they fell away. For example, the oi sound, we hadn't yet covered it, we have now, but the testing clearly showed that InitiaLit works because the sounds we'd taught were the ones that they are able to grasp. So we have a brand new sound we're going to learn today. We're going to be looking at the j sound. Now we've actually done some j sound before, haven't we? But this one's going to be a new grapheme. Do you remember what graphemes are?
Letter or
yeah, good
letters.
girl. It's the letter or the letters that actually make the sound. So our phoneme, our sound, is going to be j, and the grapheme is going to be a new grapheme. Do we already know a grapheme for the j sound?
Yes.
Yeah, what grapheme is it, Imogen?
J.
Yeah, we know the J, so you already know the one that looks like that, don't you? But we're going to learn a brand new one. And do you know the exciting thing about this one? It's a trigraph. Do you remember what trigraphs are? What are they? William?
3 letters that make one sound.
Superstar. 3 letters that make one sound. Well done. So, we're going to read some words. Can we have a look on the board?
Jet, jump, joke.
Fantastic. Jet, jump, joke. What sound can you hear at the beginning of the words, Kyla?
Jet.
Fantastic. You can hear a j sound. So, which letter is used to spell the j at the beginning? Ashton? Fantastic, the J or the J, that's right. So we're going to go to our tables, we're going to do some spelling in our sound boxes. The next word is judge. I had to judge the pet show. Say the sounds.
Judge.
Let's try it again.
Judge.
Good job. Now you have to really carefully think because we've got a J sound at the start here and we also have one at the end. So think about the choices that you're going to make. All right, can you help me with the sounds? Ooh, I can't quite hear you. Try again.
Underline the J.
Fantastic. And I'm going to underline this J here because that's the 3 letters that we're focusing on. Well done.
The growth impact coach working side by side in that reading process with the teacher has been a very supportive and non-threatening process. That's worked wonderfully at our school and it's an evidence-based practice that was found in the guidebooks, so it was something that I knew worked from those books, and so I implemented that very quickly, and that growth impact coach works very closely with teachers and leaders to implement the site improvement plan around reading.
So I think a growth impact coach has been really vital at our school. We've found that that gives the common language of understanding from reception right through to year 7, and as a result we've noticed that our spelling, we've found that the upper primary were struggling with approaches. They weren't sure what to do, and because of our growth impact coach knew what was happening within the lower levels, we've now found a program that actually supports and complements what we're doing at the lower levels as well. So we have that flow right through the school. So I think that common language of understanding that the growth impact coach provides is really important. With our meetings, we're able to share best practices. For example, I was talking to the children about their reading goals, and we'd always talked about it orally, but I didn't know how to show this within our classroom. But then when we had our growth impact coach meeting with another teacher, she was showing me an example of what she used in her classroom, and I found it just perfect. And so she shared the resource, and then I was able to implement it in my classroom, and now the children love it. We have steps, and they always come over and see, oh, what's my next step? What do I need to get there? So I think that's really a vital part of the growth impact coaching and the sharing of ideas.
It's quite a large role for 1 day a week. I facilitate and manage the PLCs mainly that are run in weeks 3, week 6 and week 9 each term, and we look at teacher clarity and reading pedagogy mainly. I enjoy being an impact coach to support the teachers and to help develop their pedagogy of reading. I can help support their clarity and their understanding around the best practice of reading. I can also help them have critical and tricky conversations with either others or with myself, and I enjoy challenging the staff on their practice and asking why they do something for a certain reason, and sometimes it was just because that's how I've always done it, whereas when we have those conversations we can ask the questions of the why do you do it, and is there a reason, and is there a reason not to try something else?
I've previously been a trainer in other programs, but I've found that with those programs, whilst they are wonderful, they take a lot of time, and the training takes a lot of time. Whereas initially it was a 2-day training, it's succinct and it really ties it all together. The program is actually scripted, but within that you're still able to bring your own skills and your own ideas. And sometimes I've learned I need to just trust the program, because I'll come up to a sound and I'll say, oh, by the way, I know this about the sound, and I'll tell the kids, and then I'll move on in the lesson and then I see, oh, it's actually tells me to say that up here. So I've learnt now just to trust the script and yeah, still bring your own style into teaching, and I think that's what our principal encouraged too, that we still wanted to make sure we were using our own sort of strategies and skills that we've had previously.
I love watching the progress of students in their learning, and particularly in their teaching in the reading, and watching students progress, watching them know and understand from year to year the common skills and knowledge develop, you know, whether it's predicting or summarising or clarifying or questioning, and everybody across the school speaking the same language. I love that at staff meetings we can celebrate the success and talk about data. We can watch the reading improve, we're talking the same language, and we can share it with everybody.